So firstly, anyway, guys, to introduce myself, my name is Shauna. I work here at the TEFL Institute with a few months. Previous to that, I would have been teaching English in Brazil. I have taught online myself for a number of years while I was living in Brazil. I found it the easiest way to go just because of the flexibility of it. I think, you know, with the way things are at the moment, everybody wants that remote working, working from home and being able to choose their own hours. So it is definitely something that's suitable for those kind of things. And it's also a good way to travel if that's what you're interested in, or if it's just looking at earning extra cash while staying in your own job as well. So basically, I think we have a good few people here now. I'll just check if we have anyone else to come in before I get really into the nitty-gritty of it. As I said, I'm going to go through some of the requirements. I'll go through like some of the advantages of it as well, go through some of the companies, how you can do it, whether you go on a contract or freelance. And then at the end, we'll go through some questions that any of you might have with regards getting started, okay? So basically, first things first, is there a market for teaching English online? There definitely is. Okay, I would say that since COVID, it has exploded. Everybody's looking to learn English online. It's very flexible for both students and the teachers. So there's definitely a huge market there. There's loads of companies. There's loads of ways to go about it. So as I said, you will have to put a bit of work in like any other job, but you'll definitely find work, I would say, from my own experience. There's two ways mainly that you can go about teaching English online, okay? You can go work for companies where they will provide the material and the students, or you can go freelance, okay? Now, every company, every freelance platform will have their own requirements from their English teachers. So it really depends on them, but generally to go through what is required, would say that you need to be a fluent English speaker, and the minimum amount of training hours required to teach English as a foreign language is 120. Okay, so that is going to be required by any company, anywhere you want to go teaching English online. You will need to have your TEFL certificate for that. Some companies will require a BA or higher in order to teach it, but that's not every company. There's plenty of companies that hire without any college degree or experience as well. Companies will always require you to have a good headset like the one I have on here. It's a really good investment. It's really important for your classes. Usually they'll request that you use a laptop rather than a tablet or a phone, a good quality camera and a stable internet connection. In my own personal experience, some of the job interviews I've done or the applications have actually asked me to send them a speed test of the internet that I would be using. And for one particular company I worked for, I had to send my internet speed before every class. Okay, so if you are looking to do it and it's going to be your career, invest in good internet because it's really, really important, especially if you're going to be teaching. You know, it's going to be the way that you make your money. Okay, so they're kind of the main things that you need. There's other traits as well that would be needed and that are essential for teaching English online. You know, companies are looking for just 1 second there. Can I just make sure that everybody is muted? I'm going to try and do it here now myself. Okay, so sorry there for that interruption again. I've just muted it there just so that we don't have any interruption. And at the end, if there's any questions, people are able to unmute themselves to ask them, okay? So we were just going through the requirements, what some companies require and what is necessary for teaching English online. I had mentioned you need your good headset, your webcam, stable internet connection is a must. As I said, some companies will request that even at your interview or your application stage. There's other traits as well that will benefit you. So you need a good energy, you need to translate well on camera, and you know, you need patience. Even if you're not very techy as well, I wouldn't say that that's a real necessary requirement for teaching online. You know, I hear some people saying, oh, look, I'm not great with that. I would have had no previous experience with working on computers or teaching, and I loved teaching online. So a lot of the companies that you will work for, they will give you some training before you start, or they would have a particular platform that you would have training on in order to teach your classes. So don't worry about that if you feel like you're not a very techie person, okay? So there's definitely routes to go through it all. So basically, there's advantages, as we previously mentioned, about teaching online. What are they? You can choose your own hours, you can travel, you can supplement your income, you can teach from anywhere in the world. And that was one of the main reasons I went for it. I was working in Brazil, I was working in schools, but I wanted to travel while I was away. So I was able to pick up my laptop, my headset, and as long as I had an internet connection, I could take my classes wherever I was. And that is really, I think, what a lot of people are looking for. Again, other people are looking for it as their career so that they can teach online in the comfort of their own home and they're working remotely. So when you're looking at teaching online, okay, there's two main ways that you go about it. You can work as an employee for a company, or you can go freelance. So first, I'm going to go through some of the companies that you can work for, how they work, how their hiring process is in general. Okay, obviously I can only speak for companies I have particularly worked for. So I'll mention those in a minute, and I'll put the links as well in the chat for you guys to go to their website and to see what their requirements would be. So if you work for a company, usually I suggest this for people who are just starting. Why? Because when you work for a company, they give you the students and the material that you're going to teach. Okay, so that's a huge chunk of your work already done for you. It can be really daunting when you start teaching because you would have to come up with lesson plans and what you're going to actually teach during the class. So when you have that provided for you, it takes that initial stress out of it, and it helps you get your confidence up and get your experience, basically. Again, with the companies, there is flexibility, but you'll normally have to do a minimum amount of hours per week in order to get a contract with them. Okay, I think most of them generally are about 10 hours a week, or what's expected. One of the downsides of working for companies is that the hours can be less, and also the pay can be a little bit less, but you have to take into consideration that you're not preparing your classes. So you're logging on, teaching your class, and logging back off again. Usually classes are between 25 and 30 minutes long. Okay, I found when I was doing it, you end up getting the same amount of students, the same type of students, the same people throughout your working day. So you still get that rapport with your students, and you get to know people and what they like. A lot of companies as well will require a university degree in order for you to work for them. Another downside of that can be the time zone. So for example, a lot of these would be set in North America or in China even. So you could end up, if you're working, we'll say on GMT time, it could be a bit late. Their busy time would be in the afternoon or evening once people are finished work, or early mornings if it's for children. So, it depends on where you're situated, whether that kind of work will be suitable for you. As I said, the pay can vary. I think that the average of teaching English online starts between $12 and $15 an hour. Okay, a lot of companies will pay in bands. And how that works is you'll start on a specific pay rate. So for example, one of them that I worked for was Latin Hire, and it was $12 per hour was your first pay rate. That pay rate then can be increased for the amount of time that you work with the company. So it goes up to $14 and then $16. I don't know if that's exactly the way it is now, but this is just a general idea of how the companies work. Once you have your base pay rate, then usually companies will add bonuses. Okay, bonuses are if you take more than 10 hours per week, if you work in peak times, which is usually late at the evening, or if you work weekends, you can get $2 or $3 extra an hour. So if you do it right, you can work very little and be coming out with $17 or $18 an hour. So that's always what I try to do, because you want to make the maximum money that you can and work as little as you can as well. Well, I don't know if that's everybody else, but that was me at the time when I was living in Brazil. So some of these companies are, VIP Kid is one of them. Lingo for Me was one that I worked for. It's a US company, and you would be teaching classes to adults. Lingo Star is another one. It's another US company. as far as I'm aware. And you would be teaching to kids. Latin Higher is another one, and then they are in charge of Open English. There's also Open English Kids. One thing to take into consideration is if you are teaching kids, a lot of companies will ask for a clean criminal record. If you are based in Ireland, this can be a little bit difficult to get because we have our own system to get it through the Garda, but there is ways around it that you can get that. So keep that in mind if you are looking to teach for companies or to teach kids. Usually kids are group classes, so they can be quite fun, but it depends on the type of person you are. Adults is very, very easy to teach because they want to learn, you know, so there's that little side, there's that little difference there. But that obviously depends on yourself. Now, I can see some of you are actually putting questions in the chat. So if it's okay, I will actually go through all of them at the end once I've gone through everything with regards to the companies. So if you can see as well, I just put in a list of some companies that hire in the way that I have spoken about. One really good one, I think that if you're just starting out, or a good way to start, I'll put this one in again, is Native Camp. They are a Japanese-based company and they hire without any experience. Okay, so with a lot of these companies, they may look for 1 year or 6 months experience, but this Native Camp, as far as I'm aware, up to the last time that I have checked, or anyone I know has worked for them, they don't look for any experience. Okay, so that's working for companies, okay? And as I said, I've put some of the platforms in there. A lot of these companies have their own platforms that you teach the classes on. So it's not like you're going to Zoom or Google Meets or any of them. There's actually a platform that you log into, find your material, find your student and teach. Just one thing to mention as well with the hours, there's 2 ways that companies do it. One way is that you would have a timetable. You select the hours that you're available. So if it's from 8 in the evening till 10 at night and they fill your classes for you, you log on just before and take your classes. Another way is they would send you classes throughout the day. Some of them will send you messages on WhatsApp to see if you can take a class at whatever time and you accept it that way. So it depends again entirely on the company. Okay, so that's working for companies. And then if we go to the next kind of most popular way to teach online would be freelance. Freelance is a little bit different in the sense that it would be a website as well, but you put your profile up there and the students are coming to you. When you do this kind of work, it can be difficult in the beginning because you're trying to find the students and get them to come to you and take your classes. And, you know, if you don't have a lot of experience or if you're just starting out, you will be making all the classes yourself and the lesson plans, and it can be a little bit overwhelming, especially if it's something that you're doing just in your extra time to get started in the evenings. If you're working during the day, it can add a lot more work. So that's what I always say, to go for companies first so you can get that experience. And once you go freelance, you can earn more money because you can look at a niche market, you know, whether that's teaching business English, you know, or, you know, teaching other subjects through English. We have some specialist courses that would allow you to do that. You're teaching a niche, it would be in more demand for that specific thing, and you're setting the prices. Now, some companies will take commission out of that, so it could be 20% out of the price that you set. So keep that in mind when you are setting them. And as I said, you can charge more money. Like if you go to sites such as Preply, people can charge upwards of $25 an hour for a lesson. And that's if you have a niche market. I always say to people, if you have a career prior to teaching English, try not to let that go. Whatever it is that you have experience in, you could teach that in English because there's always a market for it. There's always somebody trying to learn English for a specific reason. So it's really important and really good that you don't let go what you've had before and you bring that forward. So you can get your niche market. There is more autonomy when you work for a freelance because you completely set your own schedule. So unlike the companies where they might be sending you messages during the day to take classes, or you have to stick to a certain schedule that you've put in at the start of the month, with a freelance, you literally can take the classes whenever you want. It because if you go to a platform, it's easier than going privately as a freelance. Like if you just try to start up, then you really have to find your students. On these platforms, people are looking for English teachers. So it is easy to find them. You know, a lot of people will set a free demo class, and that's a good way to get students in. You do your first class free, you get them in, and hopefully then they would choose to go with you from then on. Okay. As I said, there can be disadvantages like everything in life. You know, your income and your hours are not always guaranteed. If you're looking for people and hoping for them to book you, you might not be guaranteed that. People mightn't stay with you. Some students might not be consistent. So it depends on how much time you have to put into it as well, because you know you have to remember you can put a lot of work into a student doing their lesson plans, and they might decide to change their tutor. So that's for something, you know, freelance is for somebody with a little bit more experience, a little bit more confidence in teaching English, and maybe not looking for you know, your full-time job that you know you have your guaranteed hours with. I would recommend it more if you were traveling, to be honest, just because you can really, really do it flexibly. There's obviously competition involved in it because these platforms are so big. There's a lot of teachers giving classes as well. So you have to be really smart. You have to be really good at marketing yourself and what you provide. So some of the companies that you can do this through are Preply, as I had previously mentioned. italki is another one, and Cambly. So I'm just going to put these into the chat as well, okay? So there's links there to all those websites. You can go and have a look through that. Okay, there is like one more way you can do it. You can start your own business. We did a previous webinar on that. One of our colleagues actually has her own English business. There's a lot of work involved in that. So I'm not going to go into that in too much detail today. So basically, they're the platforms. I do have other lists that I'll put in once I'm finished with people who, websites that are hiring non-native speakers, hire with a degree, all of that kind of thing. I'll put them all in at the end. One thing that I would say, and I had previously mentioned, is that this is like any other job hunt. So you will have to have a really good CV. And one thing that's really, really important, and I can't underestimate how important it is the demo video. Okay, so for a lot of these companies, before you ever get an interview, in your application, the first thing they'll ask you for is a demo video. It won't be a demo lesson, so don't worry about that. You're not doing 30 minutes. Usually they ask for about 1 or 2 minutes. And it's to just get a gist of you, of your energy, of your accent, and how you come across on screen. So I always say to people, take your time to do it. Don't just make a video very quickly and upload it. You should have one that you're going to upload for all the applications that you're going to make. And because, as I said, like any job, there will be applications, there will be interviews. You know, it's a process. It's not something that you can just walk into. So I always suggest as well, Google English language teacher demo videos or introduction videos. Have a look at them, see what people are doing. And that's a good way to get an idea of what's expected. Another thing I would always suggest doing is Googling an English second language tutor's CV. Okay, there's plenty of them online. There's plenty of ways you can go about it, see them, have a look, see what people with no experience are putting down so that you can gear your own experience towards what they would be looking for as teachers. But as I said, your demo video is the most important because that's what's going to grab their attention. Okay. Usually as well, when you do these kind of apply for online work for companies, you'll have to do like an English test or an English proficiency test. Similar to, I don't know if any of you have done the English level test on our website, but similar to something like that. I always say to people as well, they're sometimes worried about the grammar and that kind of thing. You get really used to that the more you teach, and Google is your friend. So before you take a class on a specific grammar topic, always Google it so you have the answers for your student. Because, you know, we're not machines, we can't remember everything. So it's definitely something not to be too worried about, and to know that, you know, you can always get some practice in or Google it before your class, because that's something really important and what people worry about. So we do have a jobs board available to all our alumni. And so, as I mentioned, the minimum amount of training hours required to teach English is 120. At the moment, if you're not enrolled with us or part of our alumni, as part of our August deal, we have a 30-hour specialist course in teaching English online. So that goes through some of the aspects of it and can help as well in your job hunt because you'll have that specialist course. If you're intimidated by it or haven't done anything like this before, I've said it before in a webinar and I'll say it again, I would do our 10-hour virtual day course. Personally, it was a game changer for me when I started because I had never taught online. I'd never been part of an online class. So when I did that, I found it really beneficial to see someone teaching a class online and how it worked because I would have had no experience in it. So watching someone do it, and then as part of that class on the second day, you have to deliver a lesson plan. So it's only about 5 or 10 minutes. And you'll probably be very nervous doing it, but it's a huge way to get that first step out of the way. And it's a relief once you've done it. You'll get feedback on it. Everyone who's in the class is in the same position as you as well. And the tutor, whichever one of the girls that will be doing it on the particular day, will give you feedback on your lesson and how you need to be. The most important thing with teaching online is being energetic, being open and welcoming to your students. And I would say that a lot of students in my personal experience like to have conversations as part of their class rather than actually teaching grammar or that kind of side of things because people want to practice their English. So a lot of people will learn English in school, and if somebody's like a B1 or a B2 speaker, they might have the opportunity to practice it that much. So they'd like to talk about the news topics and those kind of things. So there is just loads of ways to pass your class or to teach your class, and there's different aspects of what a student would like to learn. You know, some people don't like the grammar aspect, and as I said, for conversation, some people love it. So it's something that I found really enjoyable because of that, because it's so diverse. You're meeting people from all over the world, and you're teaching very different things, you know, from one class to the next. So what I'm going to do now, just before, actually, you know what, I won't do that yet. I was going to put in all the companies, but I'll do that at the end so you can all see them, okay? And what I'm going to do now, before we go any further, is I'm just going to have a look at some of the questions in here. So I can see and I can answer them for you, okay? So if you do have any other questions, please put them in the box now, in the chat box, and I'll go through them for you. So hi, everybody. Thanks for everybody logging on. So we have Smitha here is about my experience working in Brazil. As I said, I was in Brazil for 2 years. I taught in schools very briefly over there because I was living there. I thought that that's really what I wanted to do. But in the end, I worked completely online. So working online worked out much better for me as I was traveling. I was able to earn a little bit more money than I would have been working in Brazil. And then, you know, it's something I was earning in dollars. So once that was converted, I was earning a lot more and I really, really enjoyed it. A lot of the people that I did teach were actually Brazilian. So it was very, very enjoyable. So thanks for that. A native speaker to work for companies. No, you don't have to be a native speaker. There's definitely a lot of companies that hire without being a native speaker as well. So I'll pop that list of companies in at the end. So I have Melind here who's just raised a hand. So if you would like to unmute yourself, if you have a question for me, that's no problem. There now.
Yeah, good evening, Shona. This is Milind Kulkarni from India.
Hi, Melind. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. My question to you, I am currently running an academy called Vivekananda Spoken English Pune here in India.
Yeah.
And yeah, and most of the time the targeted audience is working professional. You know that India here we have a software engineer working in a different IT companies.
Yeah.
So I'm providing a training especially for the working professional. My
Okay.
intention means I already certified from, means I already completed 120 hours course from your institute.
Yeah.
I am IELTS trainer as well.
Yeah.
Now I want to target Indians who are living in across the world. How
Okay.
to reach to those people? Yeah.
What I would say, like in your own case, if you're looking for a specific market, I would look at seeing if there is any Indian English second language countries or companies. So that would be something that you could look into. You know, every country has their own ones. I would also say a lot of the companies that hire online would be international, so they would have students from all over the world. I actually have taught Indians who are living in the United States as well. One of the companies I work for who had a lot of Indian students was Lingo for Me. I'll put that in the bottom as well, so that could kind of company could be something that you look for. As well, if you would like to send that query to recruitment@tefl.ie, and my colleague Jess might be able to put you in touch with anyone that we might have looking for that, okay?
Yeah, that would be a great help. I am
No
desperately
problem.
looking for the some platform so that I can conduct the training for the people who are staying out of India.
Yeah, yeah. I'll have a look into it as well. I know I have your contact details, so I'll have a chat with the guys here as well and see if we have any options for you, okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, perfect. So we just have another question here from Bernie. What does the vetting? So the vetting process is usually done by the company. They will ask you to get, in my experience, a letter from your local Garda station to say that you don't have a criminal record. Um, and then it can be a little bit different, as I said, in Ireland, because we have our own system for getting that, and international companies can't request it through that, but it is possible. And any company that you do apply for will get you will let you know what they require. So is there help with CV writing? We do have the recruitment team, and they sometimes go to they will help you with your CV. So if you email either hello@tefl.ie or myself, my email is there in it, um, then you can pass that on to them and they'll have a look through it. So I just have somebody else there now. Ayushi, so you have a question there for me if you would like to unmute yourself and
Hello.
ask.
Hi, Shwana. Hi, everyone. I belong from India, from the non-native country.
Yeah.
I have done TEFL from Premier TEFL. I have done teaching young learners course. I have done teaching adult learners English grammar course. But the what challenge I'm facing last 2 to 3 years that they required only native teachers. Even I applied in Cambodia also, and even applied in different internships. Whenever I have applied for the internships, the main issue is that there's the course fee is very huge. For the internship fees is very huge as according to the dollar. It is like at least it should be started like 1000 USD and all to get the exposure in different countries for teaching profiles. So I was unable to do it. Even I have tried for the Go Travel Abroad, Premier TEFL, and a lot of other websites, I2I TEFL and all. This is an internship issue when I'm unable to gain my experience in abroad. And another issue is that whenever I have tried for the online teaching positions, then also have the same challenge of native speakers.
So as I said, thank you for your question. As I said, once I am finished here, I will put in a list of companies that we know that hire for native speakers. This particular webinar isn't about internships. I know that a lot of the internship programs have specific requirements for the visa of the people that they would be hiring, and that's usually due to visa requirements, okay? But as I said, I will put the list of companies here in the end of the chat once I have completed the webinar as well. Okay, so I also have Mairead here. Some online teaching companies refer to 90-minute classes. Usually, Mairead, I have done online classes for 2 or 3 hours. Usually what companies do is they offer their students 30-minute slots, and people can book as many 30-minute slots as they want. So that's why when you're talking about being paid $15 an hour, it could be like $7.50 a slot, $7.50 for 30 minutes. So you get paid then for every class that you've taken. So if it's 2 hour slot, it would be 4 classes and you get paid individually for each of those classes.
Very nice. Actually, with me, there is not an issue of the payment. I just need an exposure that I can build my resume and to teach abroad students, either they're Indians or either they are foreigners. Country doesn't matter for me. And I would also request you that please send some of the countries, those who hire non-native speakers too in real. Because I have seen that some of the organization post that they hire non-native speakers. When I approach them personally, when they get to know that we are Indians, then they deny that, okay, non-native is good, but you are from India, then we are unable to proceed your profile.
No problem. And look, thanks again for that. As I said, I wouldn't be able to deal with all of your requests here today. Ayushi, if you can email hello@tefl.ie with some of your queries and we'll help you as best as we can, okay?
Very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Perfect. So I'm going to go down again now. So iTutor group website working for anyone. I'm not sure. I'd have to double check that website for you. What area TEFL is in more demand? TEFL is in demand all over the world, to be honest with you. It's definitely something people are always looking to teach English. So I wouldn't say that there's one particular area that it's more demand. Okay, so there's lots of questions here. I'm just going to take a few more before we finish up. I'm worried that we are running out of time, okay? Can we teach IELTS with the 180-hour TEFL certificate? So we do have a specialist 30-hour course in teaching IELTS preparation, and that course can help you prepare students for the IELTS exam. So for people who don't know, IELTS is the International English Level Test. A lot of companies will ask people if they're hiring them and they're non-native speakers to have a specific level of IELTS as well. So a lot of students will be looking to complete that test and to prepare for it. So we do have a specific course that can allow you to teach preparation for that. Okay. So here we have another one. When using a company based abroad, how does it work? Are you paying tax? So usually what you do, in my own experience, is you sign an agreement that you're not paying tax or you're not living within the country that the company is started in, and then it's up to you to register and pay your tax in the country where you are working. You'll usually be paid through PayPal at the end of every month. Obviously, I can't comment on every country's tax or how you would go about that, but in my experience working in Brazil, I had to register there as self-employed in order to pay my tax in the country. Would it be a good idea to start out as a freelance teacher online since there's more flexibility? I had mentioned previously that I think working for companies is better at the start. You know, there is still flexibility there with them, and it's a good, really good place to get your experience. It can be a little bit difficult freelance working to try and find the students and also to create your lesson plans and all of that. So it can be something that is a little bit more difficult. Just here now, how do you get paid via your bank account? So I had already mentioned there that you get paid usually via PayPal in my experience. So that goes into your account every week and then that's linked to your bank account. So go down again. So I'll just do a few more there. Can we work for more than a single company online? It really depends on the company. A lot of them will ask you to sign an agreement that you only work for them. Some companies are more open to it, you know, as long as it doesn't affect your other classes. But I know various people who work for different companies, and I had done that myself as well when I was working online as well. So what I'm going to do now, I'll just put these in little batches, okay? So here I have companies that hire non-native speakers. Okay, I'm sorry that I haven't got to all your questions, and I will try to do one or two more just before I finish. Okay, so there, what I've just put in the group there is, in the group chat, sorry, is companies that hire non-native speakers. Okay, this second one here is companies that hire with a degree. Okay. So just to make sure everybody has got those, okay. So companies that hire non-native speakers, companies that hire with a degree, and companies that hire without a degree. Okay, so you can have a look through those as well. There's plenty of links there, plenty of websites. As I said, these are all just guidance. We have no affiliation with any of the companies. We offer recruitment advice and support for all of our alumni. So for anybody who isn't TEFL qualified, you can email hello@tefl.ie or hello@teflinstitute.com, or you can find my emails here next to me as well. And once you get your qualification, whether that be the 120 or 180, which is a level 5 course, it's a higher level qualification, can make you look a little bit better for employers as well, because there's more work involved in that. Once you get that, you'd have access to our personal jobs board that we have, where we advertise jobs for our students online and abroad. And then we also have a recruitment team who would be able to give you recruitment advice and support to get started. One last thing I'm going to put in the chat here now as well is just some, just put that in there so to make sure that goes out. So these are some platforms or some jobs boards where you can have a look for TEFL jobs. Another one is Dave's ELS Cafe. I'll just put that link in there now. So they always post jobs, so you can apply through there. As I said, with teaching English online, there's a huge market there. There's a load of different ways you can go about it, but you have to put in the work. I would definitely look at your video, your introduction video. Your CV needs to be, I can just see there that Latin Higher required Spanish. I speak Portuguese and English. I worked for Latin Higher. I know that they like to have bilingual teachers, so teachers who can speak either Portuguese or Spanish, but in my own experience, it's not necessarily a requirement, okay? A lot of companies, if you do speak another language, they offered not just English lessons, but other classes, so people can literally teach, I don't know, Portuguese and English on a platform, the more hours they're looking for. So I am going to finish up here now, guys. As I said, I would like to thank everybody for being here. I'm sorry that I didn't get to all your questions. There's just so many, so I've probably missed some of them. Anybody who has any more questions, you can send them to hello@tefl.ie or hello@teflinstitute.com. My emails are there as well. Or if any of you have been in contact with any of my colleagues throughout your time with us, or anything like that, just pop us an email. We'll put it in the right direction, whatever part of the team it needs to go to, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Okay, and thanks for all your messages. It was really nice for you all to be here. I really enjoyed it, and we hope to see you soon.